Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. So this is going to be your love and spirituality reading for fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And this will apply to your sun, moon, rising, and or Venus signs. And if you resonate with this reading, then you may want to check out the extended version, and I'll leave a link to that in the description box down below as always. So let's dive into it, fire signs. So the first two cards out are the Eight of Wands and the Suppression card. So I'm sensing with this Eight of Wands that a lot of you are feeling very drained, that you're feeling low on energy. And with the Suppression card being here, I feel like the source of this, like the reason why you're feeling drained, is because you are spending so much energy trying to suppress something within yourself. And that might sound a little bit backwards. Like you usually think that if you're suppressing something, then it frees your energy up to focus on other things. But that's not the case. A lot of the times when we are suppressing emotions or even suppressing who we are, like a certain aspect of ourselves, it really is draining because it takes energy to suppress certain aspects of yourself. So it looks like a lot of you are feeling drained for that reason. And that's why a lot of people don't realize this, but when you feel a certain amount of shame or when you feel like you can't be yourself around certain people, you'll want to spend more time alone because it takes energy to wear a mask all the time. It takes energy to hide who you are. So a lot of people who are ashamed of who they are, they would just rather be by themselves because of the amount of energy that it takes to go out into the world and socialize, and they have to suppress certain aspects of themselves. Or they just, even if they don't feel ashamed of themselves necessarily, they could feel like they're not accepted by certain people, or they have to hide certain parts of themselves, and that in itself can be very draining. Or even working at a job where they feel like they have to be very uptight, or they feel like they can't fully express themselves or be themselves. At the end of the day, they'll feel more drained than someone who's able to be more expressive and able to, be themselves and feel comfortable with themselves. So that's what I'm sensing for a lot of you. I'm going to pull one more card for this. See if I can get a little deeper into this message. Despair card in reverse. So it looks like a lot of you are suppressing either who you are or suppressing emotions because you just are trying to avoid pain. You're trying to avoid the feeling of despair. No one likes to experience emotional pain, or no one likes to be in like that dark headspace, but sometimes you have to face those things head on, or face those emotions head on to clear them out fully. Sometimes suppressing them is doing more harm than good, and that's what I'm sensing for a lot of you. It's like you're trying to control your thoughts, which is a good thing. It's always recommended to try to think positively, but not at the expense of your mental health, because sometimes when you're just trying to think positively and bypass things, it can take a toll on you mentally, emotionally, and energetically, because it's almost like you're ignoring yourself. That's like if someone comes to you needing your attention and needing your advice, and you just are kind of like, just think positive, like just say positive affirmations. Like that's pretty much dismissing them. You see what I'm saying? And so sometimes you could do that to yourself, and that in itself is very draining. I'm going to pull one more from the Osho Zen Tarot deck because I feel like there's another message that's trying to come through here, but it's not quite coming through. Where is the suppression coming from? So the guilt card is here in the reverse. Yep, the guilt card is here in the reverse. So for some of you, this suppression or what you're suppressing has something to do with your past, and you're trying to suppress it because you feel some sort of shame or guilt surrounding your past, is what I'm seeing. And that past event or events, because this could have been more than one event that took place, is keeping you energetically held hostage, is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of energetic cords that are still tethered to the past. And you're trying your hardest to avoid that feeling of shame and guilt, when in reality you may need to face those feelings head on, because those are the things that are draining you. Those are the things that are bringing you down. Even though you think, I don't want to face it because it's going to bring me down, it's going to, depress me, it's going to drain me. the opposite is true. Trying to suppress them and bypass them is what actually is going to bring you down. I feel like a lot of you are afraid of drowning in those thoughts and in those emotions. If you face them, you're afraid that they'll overwhelm you and drag you down. But again, the suppression I feel of them is what's dragging you down. And, you know, it is true that depending on how severe the emotions are, they can sometimes be overwhelming. So for those of you who this is like a very severe or traumatic thing that you're not trying to face, then you may want to consider getting some type of help facing them. So I just had to give that disclaimer, because sometimes suppression happens because things are too overwhelming and we really can't face them. And if we did face them, we would start to spiral. So that's where, you know, getting some sort of help with working through those emotions could be beneficial. But for a lot of you, I feel like it's not something that would necessarily drown you. You just fear that it would. And so you really don't want to face it. You could be not wanting to face certain parts of yourself either. And again, I'm telling you, if you're feeling low on energy, this is the reason why, because some of you are not realizing that this is the reason why you're feeling low on energy. You're not expressing yourself, or you're not facing certain things that need to be faced. For some of you, it has nothing to do with it has something to do with your past, but what it really is that you need a safe space to be yourself. Which we all do. We all need a safe space where we can just be ourselves. We all need that, like, one friend, or that one online community, or that one space where we can really express ourselves and we don't have to fear shame. And I feel like a lot of you don't have that, and that in itself is draining. And this safe space, you can create it for yourself. You can create it, like, if you're alone, doing things that, you know, otherwise you might feel ashamed of doing in front of other people. The first step would be doing them in front of yourself. Like, maybe if you're very shy about dancing in public, dance in the mirror when you're alone. You know, you might feel a little bit weird about it. It might feel a little bit like, oh, this is, you know, strange. But that in itself is like you creating that safe space for you to be yourself. You know, if you can't feel 100% comfortable in front of you, then it's going to be hard for you to transition into being comfortable in front of other people. You see what I'm saying? So hope that makes sense. It was a couple different messages kind of thrown in there. Yeah, for some of you, because the nothingness card is coming up, so there's a void that's inside of you, or there's an empty space that's inside of you, and it's needing to be filled with your authentic self. So like I said, needing a safe space to express yourself. And for some of you, this empty space is coming from not acknowledging or facing certain emotions and certain things from your past. So the next three cards, we have the Strength card, the Ten of Wands, and the Experiencing card in the reverse. Yeah, everything that I was just saying, like those messages that just came through, it's basically saying here that you are not living your life to the fullest. You're not experiencing the best parts of life because of these things, because of the not wanting to face emotions and suppressing them, because of not feeling comfortable in your own skin and not expressing yourself, or not having a safe space to express yourself. It's like you're missing out on the best parts of life. And I'm hearing for some of you, I'm getting different messages, so I'm going to try to not make this confusing. For those of you who are, you know, experiencing shame in terms of like who you are as a person, like you have a hard time being yourself, like in front of people, it's saying here that you have possibly missed out on some opportunities because of that, or you feel like this is something that's going to make you miss out on opportunities. And the advice that you're being given is, again, to create a safe space for yourself to be you first. When you start being comfortable in your own skin alone, it's going to be much easier to transition into being comfortable in front of everyone else. Like the example I gave before, if you can't, you know, dance in your room alone, then how are you going to transition into, you know, dancing at a party? You see what I'm saying? I'm going to pull one more. Even, I'm hearing for some of you, even looking in the mirror and practicing speaking could be helpful for you if you have a hard time expressing yourself or speaking up, you know, when you're out in public. Okay, pull one more. Bad health. Yeah, for some of you, this is literally causing your mental health to deteriorate. Your mental or possibly your physical health as well, because those two are connected. I feel like that message, though, is more tied to those of you who are suppressing something from your past, or not wanting to face certain aspects of your past because you feel guilt or shame about them. I know for a fact that that can definitely cause your mental health to deteriorate. Anything that is suppressed within you is going to cause your mental and physical health to deteriorate. And I do see that it is going to take a lot of strength to, you know, break past these blockages. It is a challenge. It is a spiritual challenge. And that's why I'm sensing that if some of you need to reach out for help, you definitely should do that. If you're having a hard time processing these things, then it's important for you to reach out for help. You don't have to go at it alone. That's a common misconception when it comes to these like spiritual challenges and these things that we need to do in life in order to evolve. We automatically think it's a solo journey, which it somewhat is, but people are here for a reason. Like, we're not on this earth alone for a reason. So it's important for you to, get help if you need help, get some sort of support if you need support, because this is going to take a lot of strength to overcome, especially if it's something to do with repressing, your past. I'm sensing that for some of you, this is social anxiety. I'm sensing that that's what it's expressing itself as social anxiety. Pull one more. Change. Okay, so for some of you, you have been stuck in this space or in this headspace, or you've been behaving this way for so long that it's almost like you're comfortable even though you're uncomfortable. So for those of you who I was picking this up as like, maybe you isolate yourself because you don't want to express who you really are, or you are afraid of being who you really are. You isolate yourself. It's like you're uncomfortable with that. You know that, you're missing out on positive aspects of life, but you're comfortable in the sense that you've been in it so long. So you're going to have to force yourself out of your comfort zone. And I hope this reading isn't confusing, because this is two different groups, but the groups can sort of intertwined. So it's the group that is suppressing their emotions because they have some shame from their past, or they don't want to face past emotions. And then there's also the group that is suppressing who they are as a person because they have this shame associated with being themselves, out in public. And you could fit into both of these groups, but that's what I'm picking up on, two different groups. So I hope this is not getting confusing. But in both groups, I'm sensing that it's been like this for a while. And so that's why it's going to take a lot of strength to kind of break out of this. And it's going to take a lot of consistency to break out of this. And possibly it's going to take getting some sort of outside help in order to break out of this. I feel like you may think about changing a lot. Like, you may think about what you're missing out on, and how much easier life would be if you could just purge these things, or you could change these ways of thinking or these ways of being. You think about it a lot, but you don't act on it. So you may be needing to act on it, but then again, you're drained at this moment. So it's kind of hard to act on anything when you're drained. So that's why I'm really feeling like a way to restore some of your strength is to find one person who you can express yourself to freely. Just one person, just that first baby step. And it could be a therapist, it could be a friend, it could be a family member that you trust. Just that one baby step towards being yourself, or being able to express yourself, is going to give you a bit of energy. And then from there, you can take that energy and continue on with your healing and go forward with your healing, with kind of breaking free from this bind that you've been in terms of that suppression. I really hope this reading is making sense. And an example I can give from my own life would be just like my sister. When I am in the throes of like social anxiety and I'm just not feeling good about life and I don't want to interact with anybody, just being around my sister for even one day, because I can be myself fully around my sister. Like, literally, she's the only person who I can be myself fully around. I don't suppress anything around my sister. It's very energizing because I don't fear being judged at all when I'm around my sister. So that's what I mean by, like, she's not going to be the one to cure my social anxiety. Like, she's not the one that completely erases it, but being around her gives me that bit of energy that, is needed for me to then kind of tackle the social anxiety head on. You see what I'm saying? So just being around one person, or expressing yourself to one person that you trust that won't judge you, will give you that energy. And if you don't have that person, this could be, like I said, finding possibly a therapist, or finding a counselor, or finding someone who you can trust online, or going anonymous online and going on a forum and expressing yourself. You just need like something, like some small step towards expressing yourself. And it'll help you feel much better, much more energized. And then you can take that energy and then, go forward with your healing work. So now we're going to dive into the outside energy. And the outside energy, for those of you who are new, is someone or people, like one person or multiple people, who are affecting you energetically, who you are energetically connected to, and they are playing some sort of role in how you are feeling. So we're just going to dive into the outside energy. So I'm sensing there's someone outside of you who, well, they have Virgo energy. First off, they don't have to be a Virgo, but they are appearing to be a Virgo in this reading. They are someone who's very introspective. Like, they are someone who likes to go within. They may not express themselves right away. Like, if you come to them and you try to confront them about something, they may not respond right away in a way that could come off as cold, but they are just really analytical. They like to think things through before they respond. But yeah, it can come off as kind of cold is what I'm seeing. But they are someone who likes to kind of withdraw and likes to isolate in order for them to think things through. I feel like this person is someone who could be somewhat successful in some area of life. They're able to manifest some sort of success in their life, but at times they fall short when it comes to personal relationships because, again, there's this coldness that they tend to have. They tend to withdraw. And sometimes that can come across as very fake or not being genuine, because you may come to them with a problem that you have with them and they may withdraw completely. Even if their intention is to think it over and then answer you, it comes across as them not caring because they're just not responding at all. So it's like this person comes across as not having a lot of integrity, and this person comes across as someone who withholds. Like, they withhold things, they withhold emotions. You don't really know what's going on in their head, and when there's conflict, it seems that they retreat the most, and that's when you need them the most. And I feel like this is deeply affecting you. You're coming up as the King of Cups and the Magician card. So with the King of Cups, it's almost like this person's throwing you off balance emotionally. And I feel like that's because they themselves are a bit off balance, but it may not appear that way. Like, when people withhold emotions or they withdraw a lot, it seems like they are balanced, but they're not, because there's two extremes. There's the extreme of, sharing too much of your emotions and being overly emotional and like dumping your emotions onto people. But then there's the other extreme of not showing anything whatsoever at times where it's necessary to show emotion. You're not showing it. So there's two extremes, and that person is at the extreme of not showing anything at times where they need to the point where it's coming off as cold and it's coming across as secretive and it's coming across as them lacking integrity. So I feel like it's because they are at an extreme imbalance, it's taking you to the opposite extreme of you being overly sensitive or overly emotional, because you feel like they are withholding, and it's just kind of throwing you off balance. It is affecting your ability to manifest. I feel like a lot of your energy could have been going into trying to get them to respond to you or get them to show some sort of emotion. And if you put all that energy into that, then it's hard to put energy into your own life and into your own manifestations. So that's kind of why they could have more success with manifesting certain things, because they put so much energy into those things, but they're withholding. So they're destroying certain relationships while they are manifesting other areas of success. It's really like kind of confusing, kind of backwards here. It's like that person who puts all their energy and attention on work. So they're very, very successful when it comes to their work life. But then when it comes to their personal life, they withhold emotion. So their personal life is always falling apart, you see. But on the other hand, you could be the type that you put a lot of energy into your connections. And so you're more likely to have a successful connection because you put energy into connections. But at the same time, it stops you from manifesting other areas of your life, or you could kind of get knocked off balance if you try to invest into the wrong person emotionally. So I feel like that's what's happening here. But I feel like you are, interestingly enough, it looks like you're on the right path. I feel like this person came into your life for a reason, to show you these extremes, because the pathway card is here. So that lets me know that you are not on the wrong path, even though you might think that you are. I just think this person, they're meant to show you these extremes. A lot of the times in life, we have to see certain extremes in order for us to find balance, because we will sometimes swing from one extreme to the next, and then we'll settle somewhere in the middle. So it could be that this person withholding emotions is meant to show you the unhealthy aspect of doing that, and then also the unhealthy aspect of taking the complete opposite extreme, and how those extremes can, bring those sides out of each other. And then through seeing both of those extremes, you're able to find some sort of balance in the middle. That's what I'm seeing. All right, so we're gonna stop here and get into the extended. I feel like I just gave some of the extended messages. So yeah, we're gonna dive into the extended reading now. We'll get more into this person, and then we'll get into your do's and don'ts for the month of July. So thank you guys for watching. I will leave the link to the extended down below, and yeah, we'll continue this over on the extended video.